We're coming to you from Brownsville, Texas, here on an afternoon, a Wednesday in 2021 from Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. I'm Joe Bowling, Kevin Naro alongside. We're going to talk a little sports here on a Wednesday. And fans, it's here. Football season has arrived. Kevin, it all starts tomorrow. We've been busy getting our football magazine ready. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Kevin, here we are, football season. It's here, 2021, and it all starts tomorrow with games.
Yeah, it's high school football eve, you can call it. Tomorrow night, we'll be back at it with, I think, 6 games on our slate. So this is, bittersweet. One, because it's football. 2, because it's on time. At this time last year, we were wondering if we were going to play, how many teams were going to play. We had seen teams at this point last year cancel their football season. I think the theme of the spring ball and the theme of the two-a-days was that we're playing, we're on time, we have a district schedule, and we have a full slate of games.
And it's not a season that begins without cancellations because we do have cancellations this year. We've already had one, Donna North, that rivalry game, Kevin, not going to be replayed as far as we know right now on the schedule.
Right, yeah, that game is not going to be made up at all. It had some COVID cases, so Donna North off the table. There was some questions with Lyford, Santa Rosa, but they got that cleared up. They're ready to go. But other than that, I mean, this is about as normal as it can get as far as a week 1 game. I mean, albeit there's still going to be some mandates at some stadiums across the board. I'm hoping, I know at Bogus they're expecting a full capacity crowd. At Hidalgo, we know they're going to be limiting crowds. But for the most part, this is about as close to normal as it gets. As far as seeing these teams practice, it was good to see no masks, being people to freely go out and practice and be able to just get back to that sense of normalcy. And let's not forget about volleyball too. We're seeing, normal the benches being back to normal, so it's very bittersweet. And I'm sure a lot of the coaches, I know I talked with Coach Gilpin earlier, he's fired up.
So from a Christmas Eve perspective, football Eve is here, and it is exciting times. And Kevin, I know some of these coaches we've talked to as we were putting the magazine preview together, as we're seeing them in practices, as we're now talking to them, as we're getting ready for our pregames. These coaches are fired up as if it is Christmas Eve because football Eve is here and the games all start tomorrow, and they can lay it on the line and start these players playing with the anticipation of a full season.
Oh, you bet, and it starts with the non-district portion of the season. And again, last year, if there was a non-district game, some teams had 1, 2, some didn't have any at all. They had to jump right into the regular season, and that's the huge thing that these coaches can look at and go back to normal 2 years ago in 2019 and so forth, that we get to have these non-district games. We get to go on the road. You're going to see teams travel. I know Los Fresnos goes to Cal Allen this year. Gregory Portland comes to Los Fresnos. The point being that teams are allowed to travel. We're seeing volleyball teams being able to travel to Laredo, being travel across the valley. Last year there was none of that. They were strictly, you play within your district. Some districts didn't allow teams to travel outside of the valley. So that's a big plus.
And another thing that's a big plus as far as the fans being entertained here on Real Sports Live is for a second year in a row, live video on a Friday. And therefore the fans that can't make the games, the fans that are out of town, coaches who are scouting teams as far as, and I'm talking college coaches that are scouting teams and players trying to look for individuals to sign. They can watch the games here on Real Sports Live. And it brings an even bigger perspective, Kevin, that Real Sports Live is not just in the Rio Grande Valley. We're in the Coastal Bend. We're up to Refugio this year. We've got primetime games, primetime teams, state ranking as high as number 1 in the state preseason, all on our broadcast schedule this year.
Yeah, it's Refugio, and you let's not forget that this is the second year we are allowed to stream football games, live video and audio, because 3 years ago it was just audio. Thursday, Saturday you could do the video. So and I commend the UIL for allowing us to do this again, just kind of taking a step into the 21st century, knowing that, hey, everything is at the tip of the phone now. You just flip on your phone, you want to find anything out, it's right there instantly. So, kudos to them for allowing us to do this again. And that's a huge thing for us, because that was the number 1 question. Can we watch the game again? And it's like, well, we're just kind of waiting and seeing what UIL is going to decide. But once we saw that UIL was going to allow us to do video and audio, I think you were my first phone call, or Mark or somebody, that was the best news for us. Not only for us, but most importantly, the people at home. Because, we're still in a pandemic, yes, and there's still a lot of people who don't want to go out to these games. And they have the outlet to watch it. And like I've told you this before, that we were the missing piece of the puzzle. When it comes to sports media in the Valley, that now people can read it, people can watch a news segment, and now people can watch it on their phones, video and audio.
And they get to see it on Friday nights as well as Thursday night. It all starts on Thursday night. We've got a slate of games this week that has got some good ones beginning on Thursday night. And we do see some teams from the Rio Grande Valley traveling into the Coastal Bend. We do see some non-district games that are matching up right away. And again, as we're here at Luke Fruia Motors here in Brownsville, Texas, we want to remind everyone that we do have a prize package that we'll be giving away. We'll have a trivia question here a little bit later on, and we'll give this prize package away from Luke Fruia Motors. Luke Fruia Motors, one of our newest advertisers that stepped up and assisted us here with our broadcasting. We'll be here on each Wednesday afternoon talking sports. This afternoon, it was a quickly thrown program together. So we've got coaches that we've asked to come by. They may be able to break free. We do know one is confirmed. He'll be coming by, possibly a second. But as the season continues, we'll have more and more interaction with coaches. And, of course, we'll be breaking down games, not only games that are going to be played, but games that have been played. You'll see some highlights, and we'll spice this show up in a big way beginning next week. But this week, we're here. Football season is just around the corner. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And again, we want to talk about the Real Sports Live magazine. This is a preview edition, which I have in my hands. The actual edition of the magazine will come out tomorrow, and we'll be handing these out at stadiums. This is a composite listing of over 100 teams in the Rio Grande Valley and the Coastal Bend. Each team has a full color photo picture page dedicated to each team. Each classification is covered. Each team, you want to talk about your team, you want to talk about your team schedule, you want to see the players to watch, you want to get some information about the classification that your team plays in, pick up a copy of the Real Sports Live magazine, the preview edition 2021. It comes out tomorrow. This is a preview edition. It's bound in a different way. These will be actual magazine-bound editions, which will be free of charge to fans, 50,000 copies going across the region. And Kevin, before we take this break, this baby is going to draw a lot of attention, and fans are going to be pleased with what they see in this.
Yeah, there's a lot of information in there. It's very informative. The boys, there's mugshots of the players in there, just coaches' information. We went ahead and broke down districts, predicted district winners. As you can see there, just your schedules. We even went ahead and picked a game to watch. So if you're a football junkie, this is the one for you. And again, it covers from the Coastal Bend all the way down to the RGV. So it's a lot of work, but it's really good stuff.
And of course, one of our sponsors that's in the magazine, Luke Fruia Motors. You'll see a full page there, ad there. You'll see several pages with advertisers that assisted us in producing a quality magazine that's coming out when it hits the stands tomorrow. We'll be right back after this.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
It's easy, the choice is yours. You can click Fruia.com 24/7 or visit us here personally in our beautiful showroom. Step in or click and stand out. Luke Fruia Motors, we're always at your service.
We're the Lady Cougars and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Back here at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, we are on our Talkin' Sports on a Wednesday, if you will, on Real Sports Live. Kevin Naro, myself, we have some other guests that are going to be joining us here in a little bit, including Antonio Lopez here at Luke Fruia Motors, who's going to be talking about the Cadillac division of Luke Fruia. And, a lot of good deals going on here. They have some students that are out. They brought a school in today, and they're teaching them how to change a tire out there on the parking lot. And so we'll be discussing what Luke Fruia Motors does here in the community, and, of course, the great deals they have going on here, and being a big sponsor here with us, Real Sports Live, kicking off our 5th year in coverage of football with live broadcast, including other sports such as volleyball, which we've already been in the mix. There were some blockbuster games last night, Kevin. I was involved in one of the best. We thought, we'll talk a little volleyball for just a second, but we thought going in, the game to watch might be Sherryland Los Fresnos last night. And when you circle it and say all 5 games are going to come down to the 2 points needed to win, and some of them are going to go beyond the 25th point to decide that, then that's a script for let's hype that up. Well, they played it out. It played to its hype.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Coach Lucio mentioned to me that this wasn't the first time they played. That they had one match go 30-29 or 31-29. So yeah, it was expected. Sherryland, I think they just might be the #1 team in the Valley. Definitely the top team in 5A with what they have.
It was definitely entertaining. Volleyball. Well, football season is here. We've got games that start tomorrow, and of course the Preview magazine hits tomorrow. But for those fans that are not accustomed to what Real Sports Live brings to the table, here's a little sample of some of the football broadcasts from last year and some of the big plays and some of the teams you're going to be seeing this year on Real Sports Live.
Back to pass, pump fakes, deep ball has Atkinson leaping, caught, touchdown Bucks, Lonnie Atkinson.
Big catch there for the Miller Bucks.
Guzman set to take the snap, draw play, take that, and he will score.
We are the Lyford Bulldogs, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Big 5-set match. Check out the highlights on Real Sports Live, see what we're talking about. Reyna back to pass, completed to Jathan Barrera. A big hit over on the far side. I think that's what they're setting it up for. Greenwood to the right of Body, high snap, hauls it in. They're going to run verticals, and down goes Body, a sack. That's how this first half is going to come to an end.
We're the George West Longhorns, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
The middle, and Tariq Hickman is gone. A 69-yard touchdown for the Cal Allen Wildcats, number 10, Tariq Hickman. Right up the middle.
We're the Key Mustangs, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Yes, they are. We're going to go to the replay here, but we'll keep it right where we are. The pass over the middle, wide open for the touchdown. Run their offense, single back, it's Santos. They're going to toss it to Santos, and he's going to cut inside, crossing directions, and he's going to score. 14 yards out, Buddy Santos.
Has time, delivers the ball over the middle of the field, caught. Big play time for the Chargers. 30-yard line, block delivered, 20, 15, 10-yard line, 5, 1-yard line. First and goal coming up.
What a last drive, but Garcia, before that quarter end, came up with a big play that put this offense behind the chains.
3rd down and every bit of 14 to go for Marlon Montalongo. Drops straight back to throw. Protection is there, delivers a ball downfield, got a man down there, caught to the 20-yard line. First down.
We are the Benavides Eagles, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Last year as a junior and really had a breakout year, that's Trinidad. Handoff to the right side with the hole, shakes off a man into the end zone for the touchdown.
We are the Orange Cardinals, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Here we go, 2nd down, 19. Chase Roberts and the Hawks down 7-0. Wants a snap, looks downfield, pump fake. Here comes the pressure, and they got him down for a quarterback sack.
Well, Aaron, this is not what you wanted to see. Now we have, they.
A sellout crowd will look like. Out of the gun is Sanchez, rolls out to his right, steps up, fires a dart over the middle, caught inside the 10, down to the 5. Football comes loose. Looks like the Pirates are going to recover, and another turnover.
We are Hidalgo, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
5 wide receivers. Suarez has the pressure, steps up, delivers a pass in the middle, picked off. And this is Florence. He gets it this time. Has running room, dances all the way down to the 45-yard line.
There's a spark coming out for the Harlingen South. Here we go with the kickoff.
Long booming kick here. Cannot tell from this angle if he's going to be able to return that. He is. He's going to bring that one out. Trying to make a move here to the outside. Nice run back there for the Cardinals. He made something out of nothing.
Half on the run did Leonard on the direct snap there. Right from the gun. Leonard steps back to pass. And what?
We're the London Pirates, and you're watching Rio Sports Live.
In this first quarter, man in motion goes right to left. Galvan drops back. Here comes some pressure. He's going to get hit, and down he goes.
Yard line, up to the 30, 35, breaks a tackle. He has daylight to the midfield strike, 40, and he's finally taken down at the 25.
Back here on Real Sports Live, Kevin, if I wanted to, I could put that thing together with a list of highlights that would go for hours from all of the games that we did do. We then did that with a Miller and Alice highlight. The Corpus Christi Miller loaded for bear again this year, and they're on our broadcast schedule. And speaking of broadcast schedule, Kevin, it all gets started tomorrow, and we are going to be a busy Real Sports Live through this weekend.
Yeah, so starting with the Thursday games, PSJ Memorial at Edinburgh North, Mission Veterans, PSJ at Sherryland, Robstown at HM King, San Antonio Southside taking on Brownsville Lopez, and Fruia at Brownsville Porter. Those are Thursday's games. Into Friday, we have Mercedes at Brownsville Hannah, Brownsville St. Joe at Port Isabel, Brownsville Pace at Sherryland, at Calchelsea at Los Fresnos, McAllen High at Edinburgh High, Brownsville Veterans at Harlingen South, La Feria at Raymondville, Progreso at La Villa, Corpus Christi Miller at Corpus Christi Ray, that game's at Buck, Toloso Midway at Corpus Christi Moody, that game is at Cabanis, and then Refugio at Bruni. That's a Friday schedule. That's Thursday and Friday right there, so have at it.
Yeah, have at it. Let's talk about them. Let's go ahead and break them down. Let's talk about those Thursday games. First of all, right here in Brownsville, where Luke Fruia Motors is at. That's where we're at today, broadcasting this event. But just down the street at Sam's Stadium, it all gets going. And what better place than Sam's to start off the season again, Kevin? We're proud to be there. And they've got a matchup on a Thursday night.
Yeah, the Fruia and Porter is going to be kicking off the season there. A little 4A, 5A matchup there with Porter and Fruia, two teams. Coach Abel Gonzalez trying to get Fruia back in the playoff mix. I know they're traditionally a spread offense. Last year they did a couple good things that that didn't quite get them in. Brownsville Porter has been a team that's been knocking on the door. They do have to replace Kevin Garcia, who was their stalwart at quarterback the last 3 years. I know they have Arredondo back, who's an all-around athlete, a couple guys on the edge. But Porter, 2 years ago they were on the brink of nearly beating Pace in that controversial back of the end zone play. Gilbert Lee, I can talk to you about that every which way. I felt that a couple years ago that was the team to do it. Last year, of course, COVID was just COVID was COVID. But I think Porter, they're hoping that this is their breakthrough year. And Coach Farrell, their OC, he's one of the brighter minds when it comes to running an offense. So excited to see what Porter does. Gruya's in a tough district. Porter's in a tougher district. They're part of that giant Westlaco East, McAllen district with Pace, Brownsville Veterans. We can talk more about that district later, but high expectations for Porter and hoping that this is their breakthrough year.
And the other Thursday games, of course, we're going to be busy with a biggie. The Battle of Conway is not going to be played in the Battle of Conway's normal venue. It's far from Tom Landry Stadium. It's in Hidalgo. Big matchup there.
It's a big one. These two teams didn't play last year, again, because of COVID, but 2 years ago it was 37, I got the score, 37-0 Mission. You really think Coach Gilpin's going to just let that, you think you're not going to just forget about it that easy, right? So it's completely two different teams. Duran was their quarterback then for Mission. Coach Detmer was still there. He's no longer there. So it's a different looking Mission Eagle team. They still have Luis Valderas at the linebacker position. Arguably one of the better linebackers in the RGV, so just keep an eye on him. He's a name to watch out for Mission. As for Mission Veterans, they did not make the playoffs last year. You talk about 2020 being a weird year. It was definitely weird not seeing Coach Gilpin and the Patriots in the playoffs. Ricky Reyna is back. They do lose AJ Gonzaki at graduation, but the fact that they have Ricky back, they're very, very deep at wide receiver is one thing that I picked up in spring ball. So Ricky's going to have weapons around him. There's going to be a lot of speed defensively. They have a lot back. I believe they have 8 back defensively. And again, they're in another tough district. If you like points, if you like offenses, that Mission Veterans District with Mercedes, Sherryland, Pioneer, it's loaded.
Mercedes will be here at Sam's Stadium on a Friday. I'm looking forward to that game. Mercedes and Pace, Kevin, that's a measuring stick right there as we jump ahead and look at a quick peek at a Friday game.
It really is, because Mercedes, some are saying they're the #1 team in the Valley. I personally have them in the top 3, just what they have back offensively. A lot of people in Mercedes are comparing this team to the Cuates with Matt and Mark Ledesma, Fabian Ledesma, the Zach Gomez years, and that was a really good team. couple years ago, back in the middle of this past decade, with what they had offensively. But as far as Brownsville-Hanna, I think they have a legitimate shot to win that district in 32-6A. They're going to be in the mix.
Hanna will be against the Mercedes Tigers. I said Pace. That's coming later.
Right, that's coming later.
That's a bigger game even then. Let's talk about the other Thursday games that we have going on, because we have a Brownsville team going to play at Buccaneer Stadium, another one of the venues where we're broadcasting games this year.
Yeah, Brownsville Lopez, they're at Buck. They're playing against San Antonio Southside. That was just one of those where I need a game, you need a game. Let's get this going and let's just meet at a mutual site. I know Coach Gutierrez has had some rough years over these past few years at Brownsville Lopez. They've struggled in that district, but I do know one thing, that their numbers are up. And that's always a plus when your numbers are up. So Lopez is going to take the truck up to Buck Stadium. The theme going into this year was just, at least we have over 10 new head coaches off the top of my head. I don't remember so much of a turnover. I don't know if you do. I'll skip ahead to spring sports. Softball had a tremendous turnover in head coaches. So the theme, this year of head coaches, Thursday, PSJ Memorial, Coach Will Littleton, he's making his head coaching debut. They're going to Edinburgh North. Edinburgh North has high expectations this year. Like Porter, they're hoping that this is the breakthrough year with Coach Gonzalez, and this is the year they need to get it done. It's a tough district. But, PSJ Memorial, they have the work cut out for them. They hadn't won a game at all last year with Coach Dave Brown. Hadn't won a game in 2 years. So Coach Littleton knew what he was going to get himself into. It was going to be a challenge. He's up for that challenge. If there's anybody that's going to be up for a challenge like that, it's Will Littleton. The guy's about as fiery as ever. So I've always been a fan of his work, and for him to take over PSJ Memorial, he's got Omar Gonzalez with him as his offensive coordinator, who was the offensive line coach over at San Benito for many years. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do with PSJ Memorial. And I'm just saying, hey, keep an eye out. if you're looking for a sleeper game, someone to kind of sneak up and pop someone in the chin, it could be PSJ Memorial. Who knows? Going down the list, PSJ at Shareland Pioneer, Coach Eddie Galindo. Everyone's an Eddie Galindo fan. It's just a people person, good guy to be around. He's taking over the Pioneer program, who we just saw went 4 deep last year. Was on the cusp of beating Liberty. Was it Liberty Hill?
Mm-hmm.
So again, Pioneer, high expectations. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be, I'll be honest. But whoever it is, obviously they got some big shoes to fill. But when you have a guy like Joseph Graham Jr., who's arguably the best wide receiver in the RGV going in as a junior, I mean, that's pretty scary. And
we also looked at that Pioneer team, just as we looked at Mercedes. During spring ball was one thing. 7-on-7 this summer, we got to see a full wide range of 7-on-7 competition, and we got to see some of these quarterback wide receiver potential matchups, which it helped us, obviously, from a broadcast perspective, but more importantly, Kevin, it helped these coaches to take a look at, there's shoes to be filled, and let's take a look at what this tandem looks like. Even though they're not coaching, they were close enough that they were keeping an eye on who was doing what in spring and summer 7-on-7.
Right, yeah, not only that, but they also got to see who's staying in shape. Who's keeping up with the playbook? Who's staying crisp? Because, it's all the effect of COVID. Where a lot of these kids, we were shut down, so a lot of these kids didn't get to work out through off season, didn't have the 2-a-days, didn't have the spring ball. So now we're just getting back to that normal cycle.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have a coach who stopped by. We're at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas. Luke Fruia Motors, one of our newest sponsors here. And on Real Sports Live, you'll see their ads running throughout our broadcast. You'll see them in the magazine, which comes out tomorrow. Real Sports Live Football Preview Magazine, tomorrow, the 2021 edition. And we are here in Brownsville. Luke Fruia Motors, stop by and say hi as we continue to have this show on Wednesday afternoons. One thing we are going to be doing is giving away a prize package. I'll tell you how you can win that during this show after this on Real Sports Live.
Apply to the university that offers 98 unique degree plans. The university where 99% of students receive financial assistance. The university where you belong. Apply to Texas A&M University Kingsville today.
And he throws it down.
have to love the kids.
I love what I'm doing. I love children.
One of the most important things to do is to love your students.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
We're the Heart of the South Lady Hawks, and you're watching Real Sports Live. Hawks up!
It's easy to choice.
Back here at Luke Fruia Motors, as they're one of our advertisers. That was one of their commercials we'll be running. And now joining us, the head coach just down the street, Tino Villarreal is with us. He's going to be coaching the St. Joe Bloodhounds throughout the season. He's going to practice here in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us here on our show.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad that you guys here at Luke Fruia Motors. I drive a Luke Fruia car.
I'm about to drive a Luke Fruia car, it appears.
Yeah, it's if you don't drive a Luke Fruia car, you're not in.
Let's talk about the St. Joe Bloodhounds, and it's going to be one of our broadcast games this year, Coach, and it starts Friday night on the road.
It can't get better, St. Joe, Port Isabel, it's week one. Usually we're 2-3 games in, and you get to see kind of how the teams are doing, what their records are, things like that. Right now we're both 0-0. We're trying to both be 1-0. And it's red versus blue. It's the old school nasty slot versus our fast tempo offense. It's what every Valley fan looks forward to in Friday Night Light football in the Rio Grande Valley. It's going to be a rivalry matchup. It's going to be intense.
Kevin, I know you're going to be calling the game down there. Your thoughts as you get ready for this big game?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Coach, it's just good to see that everything's starting on time first and foremost. And, the history there with St. Joe, PI, it's always, you like playing those 4As when it comes to the PI, Real Hondos. Talk about what you guys have coming back defensively. I know we caught up earlier a couple weeks ago defensively. You have your safety coming back, facing the nasty slot. They're a dime a dozen here in the RGV. So just what are the challenges on facing that type of offense?
Well, the biggest challenge for us is obviously when you return few starters, you usually have to kind of ease your way. Back in the day, smash mouth football was football. Mm-hmm. And the dark side was that one team that would run the shotgun. And then you'd have to kind of figure out how do we prepare for it, because nobody can snap the shotgun. Nobody can give you a good look for it. In today's world, a lot of people aren't running not under center, they're shotgun. So our biggest test, our biggest challenge is going to be to play smash mouth football, getting that type of look in practice week in and week out, because we don't snap under center. So just even trying to get that replication of their offense to give us reps that are worth it. But the physicality, Kevin, is what we're looking to see. Can we grow there? So it's in hindsight, it's a blessing. I'd rather know right now whether we can handle smash mouth football or not.
A game like that, Coach, I'm going to interject here real quick. Normally you look at a game like that with two different styles going. You've got a team that if they could limit the number of snaps, period, in the game, number one to the final snap, the lower the number, the better on the PI side of things. You have run teams at times where you want to get that snap off in under 10 to 12 seconds. So as you approach a game like this, is it a battle of wills to that level on this team, or are too many unknowns on your side to outright say, unleash it, let's see who wins this battle?
Well, like I said before, we laughed about it. When you guys were there at our practice, I said that we'd take a 100-99 victory. I trust our quarterback, Luigi Cristiano, to move our offense, whether we score in 10 plays and it takes 3-4 minutes off the clock. We score in one play. If it takes 10 seconds off the clock and that puts them back on there, our job is going to be to take care of the football and just come out with we just want to come out with a score. At this point, it doesn't really matter to me how long it takes to get there. because yes, the game plan does favor the Port Isabel Tarpons. They're at home. They're going to try to limit how many snaps we get and how much time they put the ball in Luigi's hands. So when we have it, we got to do something with it.
Well, because when you have the football, if you go 3 and out quickly and put their grinding, pounded out, physical football team back on the field, then it comes into play in your coaching mind. Okay, I want to see how my kids react to the smash mouth football, but too many 3 and outs that go too quickly is a true test to your players at this level of the season.
I'll tell you right now, we're not prepared to handle that. We're just not. We 3 and outs are definitely, no matter what year, no matter who we're coaching. If you're wearing a St. Joe jersey and you got 2 3 and outs in a row, I'm not doing my job.
Okay.
So hopefully we're not there. I think that the kids have put in a lot of hard work so far. Moving the football is something that we pride ourselves in doing. I know that's something that Coach Tony does also at Port Isabel. So I think we're in for a fun week 1 game where there's going to be week 1 troubles. It's going to come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes, because they can drive the football. And the thing with misdirection is, you're also vulnerable to fumbling that football and making some mistakes with it as well, just like us. We're going to throw the football around, and I always tell people 3 things can happen when you throw the football, and 2 of them aren't good, right? So the odds are obviously against both of us and favor both of us. It's going to come down to who takes care of the football more. I think is going to come out victorious Friday.
Kevin?
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned about the up-tempo offense. Roy has, rest in peace, Roy, but he would always come back to the office and be like, I had to cover a Tino Villarreal game and keeping track of the box score and writing it. He's like, they just run such a quick tempo offense and having to write it all down. But offensively, Coach, you guys feel set where you guys need to be as far as offensively goes?
I think we're taking big strides there. Obviously, we return very few starters on that side of the ball with 3. But the biggest key is going to be our quarterback. If we return him, his ability to know our offense. He started since he's a freshman to some degree. And so he's had a lot of snaps. And with that fast tempo also comes fast practices. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people the amount of snaps Luigi sees in 1 season, practice and game, is equivalent to 2 seasons for a regular kid. So if you're looking at him already starting for 3 years for us, I consider him a 7th-year senior. He's in there with 6 years of experience looking at things, and it shows. We have trouble with our offensive line. Everybody knows that. We know that. They're working so hard to just give him a little bit of protection. But look at the Porter scrimmage, Raymondville scrimmage. His ability to throw the football out quickly and just recognize blitzes and know how to just move the football around, knowing he's not going to have time. I think he's doing a great job so far.
What about the holes that you were talking about on Midnight Madness? It's been a flash forward couple of weeks. How are that shaping up? What's the depth chart looking like? Or are there still wide open spots to be available?
They're starting to close down, right? Everybody's starting to settle in, and we know who's good at what and where we kind of still have holes. Obviously, when you have so many holes to fill, there's still some spots up for grabs, but as far as the ones that are most important, it's in the trenches, and it's those front 5 and the defensive line and the 2 linebackers for me. You look at those 11 players, and that is the meat of whether we're going to win or lose games, and we have mostly those kind of resolved so far. A couple of tweaks here and there. Our offensive line that started against Raymondville was not the same offensive line who started against Porter, and it's not going to be the same offensive line that starts against Port Isabel. So we're still tweaking. We know who we want to be part of it. We just don't know exactly where they fit in correctly.
Piece of the puzzle also all fitting in eventually to this incredible district that you have this year. John Paul II is one of the teams that we're covering this year. I looked at their depth chart. They're returning a ton, and at times when they were on the field and they were clicking, Coach, they put out prolific type numbers. They're back and they're gearing up for what they're hoping is a big season. But you also have the returning state champion right there in your district. They're there. So your district, is it as good as you've ever seen it going in?
It's definitely, I think, we get lost in the shuffle, and once Valley football for us is over, which is the non-district part of the season, people forget about St. Joe because our district opponents are in Austin, San Antonio, Corpus, so nobody really knows who we're playing. We're playing in our very own district. I mean, we have to go. We're playing 4 Austin schools, 2 San Antonio schools, John Paul from Corpus, and us. They all have Division I kids. You know, they're all up there. The Regents is the defending state champion. They've been to 4 state championships in a row. But St. Michael's as well, who's in our district this year, may be a big wild card. Their coach, I don't know if you get a chance eventually to meet him, but he was the coach for Lake Travis, and he's a retired coach from Lake Travis who went there. Surprise, surprise, 2 years later, a lot of transfers have gone to St. Michael's. So it is a super tough district. We have to get ready for that. And so we start with Port Isabel with Smash Mouth and everybody else that we try to get here in the Valley to get us ready and geared for that, because it is one of the toughest districts, I think, of any Valley team.
My last question, Kai Money. What's the Kai Money update?
Kai Money's healthy. That's always the first thing, right? When you're battling for a spot, he needs to seize opportunities, and in order to do that, he's got to be 100%. So he's 100%. Right now, with everything going on there, he's in the rotation. He's the second string on that slot position, but he's having great workouts. He's feeling great. He's catching the attention of the coaches. He came out in the newspaper as, you know, one of the strongest scrimmage guys for inter squad. So he's working every day. We're happy for Kai and what he represents. I mean, I think not just for St. Joe, but for Rio Grande Valley sports, right? It's our very own Rocky, you know, the movie of Rocky, the ultimate underdog who fights and battles and claws his way to get what he wants, and ultimately, hopefully, it ends not just with a scholarship, but a starting job for him.
Coach, my final question is, we're sitting right here in Luke Fruia Motors, is your experience with working with Luke Fruia. When I came down here, they were all about talking about, we support the community, we want to be involved in the sports athletics, but your experience directly with them, they've already done that. They don't just talk it, they back it up with a lot of support for athletes here in the Rio Grande Valley and in the city of Brownsville.
When I think of Luke Fruia, it's 2 words, right? And 2 major concepts. The first one is service. The second one is community. This is hands down. I've purchased cars all over the Valley, and I'm not just doing the pitch. Their service is unmatched, unparalleled. Come buy a car here and you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, when I don't have an opportunity to bring my car in, you know, they don't just call you to remind you. If they have availability, they'll go pick my car up at my office, bring it here, get an oil change, and take it back. I mean, when you look at service, it's red carpet. The way they provide that for you. And the second thing is community. They're always involved in anything and everything, from farmers market, 5K runs. Look at them here with real sports. I mean, athletics, schools, elementaries, whatever it is, they like to get involved. They like to give back to the community. They like to make themselves present in the community and let local customers know that when you buy here, you're also supporting the community.
Tino Villarreal, St. Joe, we'll see you Friday night.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this.
Fruia.com 24/7, or visit us here personally in our beautiful showroom. Step in or click and stand out. Luke Fruia Motors, we're always at your service.
We're the Ray Texans, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Josh Moody and Coach Rolly Gonzalez of Josh Moody Loans are former Harlingen Cardinals and would like to wish all the teams good luck in tonight's games.
At HCISD, we embrace the future.
We learn to communicate.
At HCISD, we put our best foot forward.
At HCISD, we
make noise!
At HCISD, we learn that the smallest of moments can make the deepest impressions.
At HCISD, we are creating the future together.
We are Santa Rosa, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Forever Memories Antiques and Collectibles, located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, is filled with vintage items, collectibles, and a selection of vinyl records that's as good as it gets. Every shelf, every aisle, and table is filled daily by a number of vendors that ensures that something here just might be the item you have to have. The vinyl record area helps bring an added atmosphere that makes for the fun trip when stepping back in time with the memories. Forever Memories, Antiques and Collectibles in San Benito.
We are Eddie Burgella, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Sherry.
Back here on Real Sports Live, we're at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, as we're talking a little football and sports as we get ready to kick off the football season. We're in Brownsville, so I was bugging him all morning. Gilbert Leal joins us from BISD. A lot of busy stuff going on for you guys this morning. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us here. And let's talk about it. Sam Stadium, full house, full schedule, ready to roll this year.
We're excited. A big difference compared to last year. Just starting on time is a huge difference. Having some of our health technology available to us this year that we didn't have last year is a huge boost to us too. So we're excited. We have a 6-game slate ready for our entire football district this year. 4 of them on the road, 2 of them at home, and so we're excited to get things kicked off.
Kevin talked about today being like football Eve, Christmas Eve kind of mentality. Do you feel that more so than last year when COVID was like, are we going to play? Are we not going to play? How's it feel this year?
Big difference. Last year at this time we were sitting at home. We weren't even operating. And just having to wait those extra month when the rest of the state of Texas on 5A and 6A were operating, and we made that agreement within the Valley districts that we were going to hold off for another month because of how hard we got hit last year. So just being able to start on time and get everybody on a clean starting block will help all our teams across the board. Especially. Just trying to get our kids back in school. We've seen our participation numbers grow by the day. Trying to push on our middle school athletes, trying to get them back into school and try to get them active because pretty much almost valley-wide we didn't have any sub-varsity athletics. So that's going to be a big push of what happens early in the year.
Well, coming off of that, building into this season, this is the first year that I know coaches did not have that junior varsity team to scout, did not have those freshman teams to watch play games. Middle schoolers weren't playing in games. And first year that you know of that coaches have to simply say, here's what's coming at me, and I'm not sure what these players are going to do.
Yeah, even to take it to another level, most of our schools that are playing the Rio Grande Valley didn't even have access to athletic periods for their kids. So, usually I know that a lot of the Valley coaches around the from Brownsville all the way to Roma took great pride in how hard they worked during their athletic periods year round to get the kids ready for Friday Night Lights, and that opportunity was not even presented to all the teams this year. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the teams come out of the blocks. It definitely favors the teams with a large number of kids that are returning from varsity experience from last year.
Talk about the games at Sam Stadium from a fan perspective. Let's get that ironed out. Fans wanting to attend the games, are you strictly 100% online ticketing, or how's that developed?
We are 100% online ticketing. It really is in the best needs for both the fan, the spectator, and the people that are operating, our employees that are operating the games. We're trying to be completely cashless, touchless, so that so from the comfort of your own home, or a tablet or a phone or a computer, you should be able to dial up any of our athletic tickets that you'd like, and that way there's no standing in lines, there's no exchanges of any ways with any of our spectators with our employees, and that way it just creates the safest environment possible.
Coach, got to ask you a question. 5 years ago, we started Real Sports Live and we started broadcasting games, and I look back and blink my eyes and think, man, it's really flown by. But you too, 5 years ago, we're doing something much different than what you're doing now. On football eve, are you still looking out there saying, sure, I'd like to be drawing up some plays here? What's the difference now, 5 years removed?
You never lose that. And I think leading up to your first football game, and I like to watch the games from the press box, and I always thought that's the best seat in the house, and you get to see the big picture up there, and it kind of plays like a video game. So this first game, I'll probably have the first jitters again, but I'll get called for something. It'll be a ticket issue or it'll be a security issue, and then it pretty much brings me back into my place on what my role is to be able to make sure that we have a safe environment for our kids and our coaches and our spectators, and to make sure that we try to provide the best entertainment possible, but also making sure that our kids have an opportunity to be able to compete, and compete for those district championships, and of course in the playoffs.
Let's talk about Brownsville football in general. Coach, you still know the game well enough to be able to take a look at who's done what. We've got some teams circled that, if things play out, competitive football in Brownsville. Talk about your perspective and just the view that you have so far on the teams.
Gives me a unique opportunity because I watch all the games at Sam Stadium, so I get a good look at all the teams that come to Sam's. I don't get to go out much, but on a Brownsville perspective, we'll just start with 6A. Hannah does bring back a good number of kids. I do know they're going to be starting a new quarterback, but do have some experience on the D line. They have a couple of all-state returnees on defense, and I know that Coach Guest has always done a great job with that program. So we didn't have an opportunity last year to be able to fight for the title outright with Harlingen, and I know Coach Guest has done a great job there the last couple of years, and he does bring back a good number of kids. So I know that they're excited there. Rivetta, Coach Beto Leal is starting his third year there. I've had a chance to watch them here in the first couple of scrimmages. They look bigger than I've seen in the past at all the positions. They have a good offensive line size, good defensive line size. They have some big kids at receiver, returning running back, and I know they have a good number of kids back on defense. So they're going to be a lot better than they've been the last couple of years. So they'll be right there in the mix.
I know we talked about Rivera, and you and I were talking last week that in years past we've looked at teams when it gets to the last push for playoff spots, and there's usually that one team that people circle like, yeah, we did all right. Oh, we lost to Rivera. And I think that Rivera team is primed to be that team that if you don't prepare for this team, if you think it's an easy W on your schedule, they're going to bite you.
They're very young the last couple of years, very young. So they're going to have some 3-year starters on there that have been in his system for the last 2 years, and so I think they're going to be right there in the mix. They're very physical. When you look at them, they're going to have some. They're physically. There's a good-looking football team. So now it's just that matter of making sure they take care of their business from week to week.
Coach Guest on a Friday night takes on the Mercedes Tigers, which some are circling as the best team in football in the Rio Grande Valley. And I know no other coach that likes a challenge. Coach Guest probably sees that and has probably already circled it, telling his players they think they're the best. Let's go against them.
Well, that's a great start. Be able to play the number 2 team in the Rio Grande Valley, and I'm very happy for Roger. Roger's done a great job there. They've had a nice dominant role in the Mid Valley for the last couple of years. I had an opportunity to be able to add him to my varsity staff when I was there years ago. 14, 15 years ago. So he's done a great job with that program. It's going to be I know that Mercedes always has some great athletes. They're always going to have some firepower on offense. I know they've always had predominantly some very tough kids on defense. But for Coach Guest not having to be able to host the number 2 team in the Rio Grande Valley, it's all you need to get those kids started. So
Kevin, I know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to go back to you having that coaching bug. Armando Garza would always tell me you speak your own language. Particularly as an offensive coordinator back in the day, I said, how's it going up there? He's like, man, Gilbert speaks his own language when he's running the offense back when you're in San Benito. But yeah, talking about the 5As, sticking with Mercedes in there, Brownsville Pace, Danny Pardo, 2 years ago, coach, they went up and darn nearly beat Corpus Christi Miller.
Sure did.
Pace is just one of those teams that they're just going to come after you, and I just like the physicality that he's brought to that program. Starting with Pace.
Yeah, Pace, Coach Pardo does a great job. His philosophy is pretty simple. You get after it in practice. It's a very physical football team. They're not real fancy on offense or defense, but those kids run to the ball and they hit you. They've always predominantly had a very strong offensive line, ground and pound. They're going to have a new quarterback this year that's going to be leading them. They've been blessed to have a pretty good athlete there in Bond the last couple of years, but I know that they always do a good job of refilling there. So that's a great program, and they're going to be in the mix somewhere.
And then Brownsville Porter having to replace, Jesse Banda at Pace, Kevin Garcia at Porter. He was a 3-year starter for Coach Udesti. So what's up with the Cowboys?
I'm extremely proud of the coaches and the entire coaching staff, including with his leadership there at Porter. I don't think enough people valley-wide give him the credit with the number of with the day-to-day challenges of working. Those kids work so hard, and you watched them last year. It really, if you go back. The last couple of years, they were really just an extra point away from making the playoffs last year. They had an opportunity to be able to play for it last year in our playoff round and didn't make it due to COVID. But been about 500 record. It's been, if you go back and look at the history of Porter High School football, there hasn't been very many coaches with a 500 record there in the total team history. So I thought they've done a great job there. They have a great coaching staff, and I'll be excited to be able to see what they were able to do this year also.
Well, 2 years ago, it's that famous game against Porter, right at the back of the end zone. That's what I was telling Joe, that Porter, I felt, has always been that team right on the brink, an extra point away, a touchdown away at the last couple of months.
And that comes just with the, just them having a solid system, a solid foundation, and like I said, their coaching staff does a great job with that team.
Coach Kelly, the new man in charge of Brownsville veterans for the Chargers.
That's going to be he's been embraced by the veterans group. They've always predominantly had some very talented athletes at Veterans High School, but they're changing their system completely to the ground and pound triple option, and he has brought in a couple of coaches from John McKee is another defensive coordinator that he has ties with in New Mexico, both on the high school and college level. So they're going to be very aggressive defensively. That's probably something that's a big change from the past, where they're usually played a lot of base defense and and try to grind people out. They're going to be very aggressive on defense, and of course, we'll just see how fast they can mature on the offense. I know it's not an easy offense to install, but he, for all intents and purposes, he is one of the nation's leaders when it comes to to the triple option. So we're going to just see how fast they can develop from one game to the other. They got hurt in the very first scrimmage, losing the first scrimmage, losing an opponent the first week, and I was thankful for them to be able to get a couple plays in there with Rivetta when Rivetta had scrimmaged Porter that night for over 2 hours, and Veterans was able to come over, and Rivetta was able to accommodate him for at least a 30-play scrimmage just so they could get going. That team's going to need some plays to get going, and I think they're opening up with Harlingen Sounds, right? So
yes,
that's going to be a pretty stiff challenge right off the bat.
That'll be a challenge of two new coaches in place and two new systems and a lot of expectations on both sides.
Yeah, Coach, that's what we're saying. That's the theme of this year. There's all these new head coaches, and from what I can remember, I hadn't seen this much coaching turnover, in these last few years. Have you?
It's been challenging. I've had a lot of friends that I've helped get jobs all over the state of Texas, and I've tried to discourage some guys jumping into the head spot this year, just for the main reason where you didn't have an opportunity to be able to work with them during the athletic period. So some of the you look at Donna and Donna North last year, they were basically introduced to their team right before the summer. You couldn't work out with your kids back then. We started a month later than the rest of us, and then they were basically looking and meeting their coaches for the very first time face to face. Just a awkward time to be able to find head jobs, and I know those guys are going to do well once they have a chance to get their programs going. But Tony V, Port Isabel, and it was just a very challenging time to be coming into a brand new program and trying to install a system. Very challenging. I thank my coaches every single day here in Brownsville. And then the last one, Coach Gutierrez at Lopez, big team. That kid, they've gotten some big kids out there, and he's in his 4th year there at Lopez, and so he's going to try to get things going. Of course, with Lopez, everything revolves around the weight room. They got Matt Barba back, from Westaco East, and he's been a strong influence valley-wide in the weight room with powerlifting and state powerlifting titles and things like that. So they're going to work that team, from the inside out also. So. That's going to. They had a talented quarterback last year that graduated, but there's some kids in that field too. So that's going to be a pretty good grinder in 5A.
I know in the game of football, anytime you build it around strength and conditioning, you can do things that people aren't expecting you to do because you've got strength to wear them down. Coach, one last thing. Tomorrow night it all starts at Sam Stadium. Gates open when? What can fans expect? A delay to get in? What do they need to do to prepare to come into tomorrow night's game?
Well, the weather permitting, we have our lightning bolts going off as we speak right now. But weather permitting, all the games this year are going to be all the games are going to start at 7 this year. We're able to make some changes with our 6A coaches and our 5A coaches. It's a little bit different. Some of the old guard didn't want to was kind of hard to push. But the nice thing is that every game at Sam Stadium this year will start at 7. So we're going to start opening our gates at 6. There's no need to wait in lines and buy tickets this year. You could buy all those tickets before. We're encouraging all our spectators and all our students to buy tickets days before the event at a $1 discount. So you don't have to stand in line. You can buy those tickets from home. You can buy them from your phone, from your computer, from your tablet. Save $1 before you get to the gate and just show your phone to our ticket takers, and you're into the facility touchless and very easy to do. So we're encouraging all our fans to go to our BISD website and look at information. I think there's a lot. I think we're just about almost every single 5A and 6A venue in the Rio Grande Valley now has gone cashless and gone to online ticketing, which is a great move for everybody in the Rio Grande Valley. So just a matter of finding out what stadium you're going to and getting on their online exchange and be able to take care of that without having to wait in those long lines, which I remember, being in Harlingen, I still remember fans waiting, spending the night, the night before, waiting to go get Battle of the Row tickets and things like that. That's out of the window now, so there's not going to be any of those long lines waiting for tickets anymore.
So those are available online. You can buy the ticket. Now let's talk one last thing, and that is the social distancing. Anything in place for fans to expect or be ready for when they get to the stadium tomorrow night?
We're operating the standard UIL rules, so we don't have any seating spacing capacities. Everybody is going to be expected to wear a mask, because we are in a BISD mask mandate 100%. It's really up to you. We have such a huge stadium, and so you'll be able to sit where you want comfortably, watch a good game, and and you could be right in the middle of the crowd if you'd like to, or you could space out anywhere you like where you could feel comfortable and still feel safe. So we're at 100% capacity, and so we have plenty of seating, and so we're expecting to have some good football games this year.
I know we're excited to be there. You allowed us to come in for another year. Real Sports Live being at Sam Stadium just seems like the place to be.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Kevin.
Gilbert Leal, Brownsville, BISD also a new sponsor this year for Real Sports Live. We'll talk about that and more after this.
And I've got my plan. I say lob it to Ryan Perez in the paint off a couple of screens.
Esquivel to Garcia. Off the deflection. Los Fresnos comes back and wins. Now Santa Maria will put up a three. Bang! Santa Maria!
There's Warner. Here comes the head of the jam. Counted for two. Field. Adios! And the Falcons win on a walk-off. And it's saved.
What a game. What's this? Smack. To the left. That is gone.
Lob for Perez. That's my play. Off the backboard. Count it. And a win. And a win.
Back here as we're at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, as we're talking a little sports here on a Wednesday afternoon. Luke Fruia Motors, our newest sponsor here on Real Sports Live. Our player of the game will be named from Luke Fruia Motors for the beginning of football season and volleyball last night. Joining us now from Brownsville, St. Joe, about an hour away from your practice, Luigi Cristiano. And first of all, from Midnight Madness to now, talk about the adventure and getting ready for this season.
It's been a blur, honestly. It's gone by really fast. Well, we just grown a lot as a team, as a group, and I think we're just about ready for Friday.
Coach talks about the gaps and the holes to fill. You look around at last year's team, they're not there anymore, mostly. Most of the guys that are coming back are looking at brand new faces. So talk about the maturity and how fast paced it's been getting from Midnight Madness to Friday night's game.
Yeah, on Midnight Madness, it was like, who's going to play where, who's going to play what, and now everyone's locked in and almost locked in to their positions, and we know who's going to play where and who's going to have big years.
When you hear Coach talk about that we don't want to go 3 and out, and you're the quarterback on a team that's not wanting to go 3 and out, how do you take that as far as knowing, understanding that if you do go 3 and out a couple times in a row, you're really putting it against your defense to go against a ground and pound kind of team?
I mean, we've never expected to go 3 and out ever. We're always the team that score a lot of points, have a lot of yards, and having a couple 3 and out is super disappointing for us, especially. It's like a letdown to the coaches and to us as a team, because we're supposed to score a lot of points.
Is it more exciting this year getting ready, knowing that COVID is not like last year? You know you got games coming right away?
Yeah, because we had a calendar day that we could pinpoint. That's our first game, and it's coming this Friday already.
Talk about the Port Isabel experience on the road. Have you played at that stadium before?
I played over there when I was I didn't play. I've never played over there. I was hurt my sophomore year when he played over there. I didn't get to play in that game. But ever since I was little, I've known rivalry game, Red versus Blue. I always wanted to play in it and finally get my chance.
Yeah, you get to look, and it's no secret. You look at that billboard, there's history there, and it's neat to go to a stadium that history, and now you get to go against Tony V, another historical coach here in the Rio Grande Valley. So, talk about the experience, just getting to do that. Does that feel good?
It feels good. It's just living in the moment right now, just trying to take it all in and getting ready for playing on Friday. And it's a game I always want to be a part of, and I'm finally going to be part of it.
You're a senior this year. You took over as a freshman, right? And the big question was, when Kai graduated, who's going to be the next man up, and Coach Tino here said that we have a guy named Cristiano, and we were getting to know you a little more. So it's 4 years flown by pretty quick, huh? Any not nerves, but just kind of like taking a step back and saying, I'm a senior, this is my last year playing high school football.
I mean, I'm just living the moment right now. It's just in the moment. To me, I always say it goes by super slow in the moment, but when you look back on it, it's a blur. But right now, taking it in slow and just getting ready and preparing for the first game I have on Friday.
You do a lot of off-season 7-on-7 with Team Zap. What does that exactly do for you guys? Because we'll sit up here and talk about, well, we'll keep an eye on quarterbacks, receivers, DBs. What exactly does the 7-on-7 do for you as a quarterback?
I think for me, it just keeps me up to speed with the speed that we're going to have during the season. Because it's a big gap from the end of football season to the start. So we got to have some type of competition and just playing during the summer, and that's what that gives me.
What do you enjoy most about the 7-on-7? Is it the camaraderie? Because you get to play with a bunch of different guys from around the valley.
I think it's just the attitude everyone has when you go up in tournaments, play against people who are going to do things after high school, and it's a lot of fun to compete with them and show that we actually belong there.
I asked Coach during Midnight Madness, you coming in as a senior, there are quarterbacks that will throw to a receiver, and there are quarterbacks that will make a receiver get to the ball. You know, talk about the difference in that, especially when you have these young receivers that you're trying to bring along. You see the route. Sometimes as a quarterback, you find, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to make you run that route. Talk about that progression.
I think just in our offense, it's a lot different than any other offense that we can run. Like in Team Zap, it's much different than our offense right now. We have some of both in our offense. Some of them are the hole is where I'm going to throw the ball, and some of them are the route is where I have to throw the ball. And it's a completely different way of throwing, of thinking, or just progressing as a quarterback.
Also, I know quarterbacks like to get locked in on that favorite receiver. If I have to get rid of the ball, have you got that guy yet, or is that still coming in?
Well, we had a lot of new faces, so honestly, I've gotten a new slate for all of them, and none of them have fully separated themselves from all the others. So it's just going to be an even until we see the breakout guy.
Do you find yourself as a senior walking in the weight room and going over to those linemen and just kind of looking over their shoulder, making sure they're doing what they're doing?
No, I trust them fully. It's not, not like saying they're the reason why we're losing or anything. I trust them fully. Every single play, I'm not looking at the line. I'm looking at my progressions. I believe in them to block for me and put everything they have for me in blocking so we can win the game.
Coach says 199 is an okay score to win. Would you? Is that okay with you on the offensive side to score 100 points?
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty good stats.
Physically, how are you feeling at?
I feel good right now.
My last question is just, you also play basketball. And of course, Jerry Martinez coming over, that was the big off-season star in basketball. I mean, hey, it's out there, right? What's it like having him adding him to the program?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, I've been playing with him AAU since I was 5th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. And it's awesome to finally see him. We're finally get to play together. It's always been like a dream or what if, and it's finally happening. And he's a manager right now, so he's meeting all the new guys. And
yeah, I was going to say, I'll take any team that wants to bring their football manager in a shootout, and I'll take St. Joe every day, all day, right now.
He wasn't kidding when he said he already got used to the gym, but there's no AC.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
No, yeah, once you get used to it, you'll like it.
Good stuff. Louisiana Cristiano. We'll be back with more after this.
A nationally recognized district focusing on quality and rigorous instruction where every child is immersed in a culture of academic success. A district dedicated to preparing our youth for the future. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower all students to reach their full potential and become leaders of the highest moral character. Sherryland ISD, excellence is our tradition.
We are La Via, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Uniforms, etc., you're going to find the opportunity to purchase the best high-quality scrubs. Soon after I learned about how the EDC was helping out the community, and so I did meet with Ms. Castillo. She made it very easy, very friendly, and she walked me every step of the way. I couldn't have done it without their help.
Come visit our new store in downtown Harlingen. We have furniture, appliances, clothes, collectibles, and more. All funds collected support the Sunny Glen Children's Home. Come see us at Vintage on Jackson at First and Jackson in Harlingen.
We're successful when the students are successful.
I love what I'm doing. I love children.
I love what I do. I really do.
Imagine teachers like these helping your child prepare to change the world. Take a closer look at Mission CISD.
Back here on Rio Sports Live, we're at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, and we got a prize pack we're going to be giving away here, and we will be giving it away right now. As a matter of fact, we were brainstorming what kind of trivia questions we're going to ask. I'm watching right now those who are tuning in on our social media. First one to answer Kevin's question is going to get this, so Kevin, fire away. What's our question this week?
Trivia question: who is the all-time leading rusher in the Rio Grande Valley?
All you got to do is answer on Facebook. Who's the all-time leading rusher on Facebook, and we'll get this prize pack in your hands. Rudy will be watching that. Well, Kevin, Sam Stadium is where we're starting. We got a new announcer this year.
Yep, Ruben, a Harlingen product from Harlingen South. He'll be baptized in the Sam Stadium Cathedral.
Ruben, your thoughts and expectations going into this year?
Oh, first of all, I'm excited, man. Tomorrow, it's like you said, football eve. Tomorrow marks the return of a tradition, not across here in the valley, but across the state of Texas. And just to be part of that's awesome. And to be placed somewhere as historic as Sam's has had some great games in the past, and just it's an honor and more can't wait. Just probably not gonna get any sleep tonight. How excited I'm gonna be, but I'm looking forward to it.
You hear these coaches talking about their season and talking about the teams, and knowing we're going out to practices when we should leave here. It is a big deal, and coming into this year, as an announcer, getting to be in a stadium like that, your thoughts, and just not so long ago, you were just a fan in the stands watching these games. Now you get to do this.
Oh yeah, it's like I said, it's an honor, especially like at Sam's Stadium. It's at many places, many great games there. But just to be at Sam's, knowing it's a few like half an hour where I live, get to see new faces. I'm gonna be in a huge district, 16 5A Division I. I'm gonna be dealing with the likes of Mac High, Nicky Rowe, Edinburgh will have some games, and some big ones in 32 6A. Harlingen taking on Rivera, Harlingen South taking on Hannah, and just a lot of games. And also we have San Benito coming to town, Los Fresnos coming to town also, and I have Sharyland taking on Brownsville Hannah in week 2. That's gonna be a great one to watch on Saturday.
On a given year, what's the most football games you've been at on one given season?
Just a fan, or?
Just a fan.
A fan. Well, my senior year I used to go a lot, and then like probably the year after I graduated, I go to a few, and then yeah, it's the last time I got into a game. But now just to be back, but this time give my perspective and my feet on it, just awesome.
Being on tap at Sam Stadium, he's had to do 24 games this year. And Kevin, you know what that's all about, being in that Sam Stadium week in, week out, Thursday, Friday, and or Saturday.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was just talking with Gilbert Leal last weekend, and I was telling him that I had found a picture of myself from like 2011, 2012, and so much has changed in the picture, not only with myself, but in the background, Coach Guest pointed out that it was the old scoreboard. And it's that same booth that I did. We did it with Channel 4 back in the day. I covered it there with the Star, and then now with Rio Sports. So I told Gilbert Leal, I said, I'm from Edinburgh, but Sam Stadium has always had a special place in my heart, especially that press box. So there's definitely a lot of history, a lot of games.
Going to be a lot of fun. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll see if we can track down Antonio Lopez. We're at Luke Fruia Motors. We'll be back with that after this.
This game is brought to you in part by the Concession Stand in Santa Rosa, a locally owned business providing a terrific atmosphere before or after the games and supporting athletes of all ages. When you're in Santa Rosa, be sure to stop by the Concession Stand and choose from the wide assortment of goodies. An advertising partner with Rio Sports Live is the Concession Stand. Music lovers, you have to stop and see the assortment of records, tapes, and records memorabilia at Forever Memories today. Located at 237 North Sam Houston in San Benito, Texas, there's over 10,000 records on display and more coming every day. Looking for your favorite album from the past, first pressings, collectibles? How about a 45 with a single you just have to have? Freddie Fender, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, Elvis, Beatles, blues, rock, classics, Tejano, it's all here. Organized and priced for you. Forever Memories, 237 North Sam Houston, San Benito.
Viva la vida, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Whether you're visiting or vacationing at South Padre Island, be sure to book your place to stay with Island Services. Locally owned for over 40 years. Trusted, reliable for condo and beach house rentals. Call and visit the website today. Island Services. Back here on Rio Sports Live, as we're live at Luke Fruia Motors in Brownsville, Texas, and among the many options of the the cars and vehicles that you can purchase here is Cadillac. And so the manager of the Cadillac, sales manager Antonio Lopez Jr. joins us. First of all, thanks for joining us here on a Wednesday as we're talking a little football, getting ready for the season.
We're all excited about football. It's the roar right now. Every morning we end up having a conversation about what's going on. Our team is the Cowboys. There are a lot of other guys that like other teams over here, but our team's the Cowboys for sure. And it's exciting to have that kind of conversation. You know, we've been through a lot the past couple of years almost, and to have that conversation kind of that normalize everything really is a blessing to us. So we're excited.
Antonio, when Coach was talking to me about Luke Fruia Motors, he said there were two things that he wanted to talk about. First and foremost was service and the ability for you guys to bring something that most don't, and that is service. And the second was community involvement. Talk about the community and the service at Luke Fruia Motors.
Well, the service part of it is in our DNA. Mr. Fruia is one of the best at making sure that every customer is taken care of, and it's always been his first thing. You know, we sell them once, but our service department is going to sell them continuously. So he's been around for 35 years and done phenomenal here. But when he worked over here, he was always in the service department because he wanted to make sure that everybody had a great experience. So, you know, when you have a car and you invest in it and you put a lot into it, it's your dream, you want to be able to make sure that you enjoy that dream. So what we do is the best we can to make sure there's no issues whatsoever. When it comes to community involvement, when Miss Felicia kind of really took the reins, she's always been involved in the community, making sure that we're out there and we're supporting, you know, every new business and every one of our customers' ventures. And so doing that and investing in that has paid really big dividends, especially with what happened during COVID. You really saw it. All that investment came through because our customers really, really helped us get through it, and we do truly appreciate them. But it was that community involvement and giving them that good customer service that got that possible.
And you just had some kids here. You had a car in the showroom, pulled it out in the parking lot. Talk about that, a school here changing tires.
Yeah, well, you know, we got to make sure that everybody is as efficient as possible. And it's important to know all about a big investment like a vehicle and the responsibilities of making sure you take care of that investment, whether it's changing the oil or rotating the tires, or in the side of the road when something happens, what do we do? You know, they might be with their mom or dad one day and they have all the goods on knowing what to do next and how to change that tire, and I'm sure that's going to make them feel a little bit more responsible and being part of the conversation.
That's just part of the community involvement and involving the school kids. Talk about some of the big deals and hours, operations. Well, someone wants to come buy a car, how do they get here?
We're here, we start the day at 9, but our general manager's here at 7:30 to make sure if anybody wants to come early, that they're welcome and taken in. And Mr. Masso as well has been here for the past 25 years. He's always here at 7:45, 8 o'clock to make sure that if there's an early bird that wants to look at something or get some information, that we're going to be available. So then we start up the whole day at 9 o'clock, and we don't leave till the customer that comes in is all done with their purchase and their transaction. We take their time. We're on their clock, so whatever they want to do, we make sure that we're patient and give them all the necessary information to make a well-informed decision.
Customer service on the backside of that is what everyone talks about most of all. Talk about that.
Following up is really important. You know, once again, if I sell you a car, I want to make sure that 4 days later, I want to make sure you're having a good experience. And then 10 days later, you're having a good experience. And then every 3 months that we're calling, we have a great BDC in our Business Development Center for service. Jackie Lopez is the one that heads that. And she's always, her and her girls, Stephanie and Esmer, are always making sure that when you have a car, they set up your service appointment, they make sure your maintenance is done. And it's also that continuous conversation and you know, we get to make sure we develop a relationship. And we make sure that everything you ask for is going to be done properly.
Antonio Lopez,
yes, sir.
Manager, Cadillac Division here at Luke Fruia Motors.
We'll see you
back.
soon.
We'll be back with more after this.
Cardinals, and you're watching Real Sports Live.
Hi, I'm Rodo Rodriguez, and I'm a partner with New York Life Insurance Company. For 170 years, New York Life has built a reputation for building some of the finest agents in the industry. I help to manage that process from day one. If you're looking to challenge yourself and build an insurance and financial service business, then I would like to show you how I can help.
We are those Fresno Lady Falcons, and this is Real Sports Live.
The Brownsville Independent School District continues to provide a safe environment for enriching education. From pre-K3 to early college high school, the award-winning district has advanced its legacy in curriculum, athletics, and fine arts. Teachers are driving the frontier of technology, bringing industry to the classroom. On and off the field, Brownsville ISD students engage in the experiences that make them college and career ready. Brownsville Independent School District, the best choice.
And he throws it down. Hey! See you later, touchdown.
It's easy, the choice is yours. You can click Fruia.com 24/7 or visit us here personally in our beautiful showroom. Step in or click and stand out. Luke Fruia Motors, we're always at your service.
Back here on Real Sports Live, Luke Fruia Motors, and that's going to wrap it up for our Wednesday. Kevin, Coach Leal talked about he's not going to sleep. When I know football season is here and everything's put to bed and I'm ready for a game, I don't think I'm going to be ready to sleep tonight either.
Yeah, it's just kind of crossing the T's, dotting the I's at this point. You know, for us, it's preparation for tomorrow. You know, we're all set as far as what we're going to be doing. I'm sure these coaches and these kids, most importantly, are excited because football is back and everyone loves football.
And it's back, and we'll be back on Real Sports Live, and our first games are tomorrow night. I know weather is going to be a factor, so watch on our social media. We'll be in position. We'll be ready to broadcast those games. You know, some of the stadiums, such as Sam Stadium, has installed new weather equipment where we're going to have that on our screen when we're broadcasting, so you can see real time what's happening with the weather. That's one of the developments that Sam Stadium has put together. And so weather permitting, we'll be at all those games Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Volleyball season is here. Football season is here. It may not be the busiest time of the year for us, Kevin, but it's the most anxious time for us because we've got a lot going on.
It's the busiest. Football season is its own season in itself, and then everything just flows after. It's the greatest and busiest time of year.
Mission Vets and Vets tomorrow at Hidalgo. Don't forget that one, and don't forget that our magazine will hit the streets tomorrow. The Real Sports Live Football Preview 2021 edition, featuring over 100 teams, a full color page for each team, as well as write-ups about the various classifications, district previews, some predictions thrown in there. We didn't get to those. We'll talk about that next week as we start looking at our predictions and how did week one play out. Week one doesn't decide anything, but it sure gets things going, and we're excited to be there. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast from Luke Fruia Motors. Stop by in Brownsville. If nothing else, like I talk about in our advertisers, if nothing else, remember, what we do is free when we broadcast to the schools. It's free to the fans to watch these games. So at the very least, if nothing else, stop by and say just simply thank you for becoming an advertiser here on Real Sports Live. Without them, it would be back to Dahlia and I running one system and trying to get as many games in as we could. Right now with 20 systems going, guys like this to my side, Rudy running the cameras. It's advertisers like Luke Fruia Motors that actually spin the wheels and get it done. If nothing else, stop by and tell them thanks. Till next time, from Luke Fruia Motors, we'll see you at the game.